Hello and welcome to another video. So today, this will be part 2 of my Google Consent Mode video. So as you know, I already made another video which was about setting up Cookiebot, setting up GA4 config tag, those two, disregard this one here, and making sure that it fires correctly and it tracks user on your website and then sends on this information to Google Analytics. So just for your knowing, so I consult and I support digital marketing managers and digital marketing experts, Google Analytics analysts, etc., experts with my channel, so they can find some inspiration, maybe can try out things, or even if they want to find solutions to actually utilize my channel. And I do videos in Looker Studio, Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, ads platforms, Meta ads, Google Ads, a bunch of things, Canva even. So check out the channel, subscribe if you want. Yeah, but let's get into it now. So as mentioned, we have our GA config tag. Let's preview our environment first of all to see where we stopped last time. So it's easier to actually follow through, right? Okay, we're loading the page, the website basically, and debug mode. Okay, so back then we said consent initialization should fire the Cookiebot. Fine. That was our thumbs up last time. This one here, fires at initialization phase, tags fired, fine, right? We're all good. So that's good. Let's go back, or let's check consent settings. As you can see, nothing is selected, no user consent given. Okay. Now, the only thing that we have to check for now is the GA config tag, because we just said we don't want to send any information yet, right? Because no consent has been given, but the tag actually fired. So we want to see why that actually is. So if we look at consent, as you can see, denied. At this stage, initialization, container loaded, denied, right? We didn't update the settings over here. So in essence, we should actually have for the tag, we didn't fire it actually, right? We don't want to provide any information to Google Analytics yet because no consent has been given. So if we go to the website and if we click on the right mouse and say inspect, and if we go to our network settings and we type in this here, so I typed it in already, but it's collect ?v is, and then press enter and refresh the page first. Let's see what's happening here. We should actually see a collect request. Yep. So as you can see here, there's a request URL coming in, basically from this tag here, GA config tag. And if we look at this here, you can see already, let's have a closer look at that. You can see that on the right side. You can see down here, see this? It says page view. So actually, this tag here, GA config tag, has been sending a page view over to Google Analytics, although we didn't give any consent. And somewhere else up here, you can see this here, it says PSCDL is denied, right? Meaning the personal data that was set by this banner should be denied. So we shouldn't send any data over, or according to this, actually, it was denied. It wasn't actually granted, but still we sent a page view, right? So you can actually see that in this request URL that we are sending cookieless pings over to Google Analytics, which we don't necessarily want, right? Because consent has not been given. And the issue though is now we're just sending we're not sending user specific data, right? So that's okay, right? In general, should be okay. It's anonymized and it's done for modeling, right? When you follow through or look at my video 1, I'm talking about this already quite a bit. So what we can see here is these are cookieless pings sent to GA. There's no personal data shared or something, but it's not very specific, right? Because it relies on modeling, okay? Irrespectively, if we want that or not, we still need to trigger or fire a page view once a user grants consent, right? So this is the one thing, right? So somebody lands on your website, they have not consented to anything in the background. If you think about it this way, in the background, Google Analytics or GTM is actually sending information over to Google Analytics in this case, right? It's a GA tag, but these are cookieless pings. But there's no user-specific data for GA For the reports in GA, it's just anonymized and modeling, based through modeling, right? What we want to get it to is we want to send over, once a user actually grants consent here, specific user data, right? We don't want to have this and then this other one, like the specific data. We want to have specific data only, right? So if we go back here, now it's closed for some reason. If we go back here, what we want to do is basically, we want to ensure, like in this tag here, that we block any page views coming through the config tag if a user denies all cookies. We don't want to send anything, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to change the configuration settings. We will add a parameter and we will say send page views, but we will say this should be false. We are not sending anything. So if we save that, and if we preview this again, let's do this again, the whole thing, connect to the page. Now, as you can see, cookie consent is still not given. Let's check the network settings, inspect, network, and look at the collect. Let's refresh. So it's trying to find it, right? The request URL. And as you can see, it can't find any request URL. There's nothing here. And why not? Because we just told it not to send any page views. And that's basically best case scenario, right? We're not sending anything over to Google now, Google Analytics. We only want to do that if a user consents with these, right? So let's try the other alternative. Let's say we allow all of the cookies, right? We could do that. Let's do allow all. Let's go in here again. Let's preview this again. Okay, we land here. Now, let's refresh this. And it's not sending anything, right? And that's still correct because we still have the tag here set to send page view false, irrespectively if somebody consents. So if somebody consents, we don't want to send a page view. That's what we're telling this GA4 tag, right? And if somebody doesn't consent, we also don't want to send anything over. So with this, we are blocking it, right? Because we want to have a clean slate and we want to set up a new tag for that. And this is the GA event tag for page views. So, okay, so we will go to new. We will go to GA4 event here. And then we will go to the tag configuration and we will select Google Analytics, GA4 event, add the measurement ID, add the event name as page view, right? And then down here, we will select a firing trigger as all pages for now. We will save that and we will preview the whole thing. One thing before, we actually have to delete the cookies. Let's do that. Go to application, delete the cookie. Cookie consent, delete it. Okay. We close these again. Let's preview them again. See what's happening here. Okay. So first of all, loading this, what can we see? We can see that consent initialization fired this one as before. Initialization fired the config tag. We know by now that the config tag is actually not sending any page views or keyless pings because we blocked it, right? Which is good. And then we have in the container loaded, we will have the GA4 event page view. Now with this one here, did we give consent? No, we didn't. So in essence, this one here, the GA4 event page view, will also only send cookieless pings. And if we look into the GA4 event page view settings, for the advanced settings and the built-in consent, as you can see, we would require marketing and analytics consent to actually provide user data as well, like specific user data, not only cookieless pings, right? So we're not blocking any cookieless pings. Of course, we could do that if we added, for example, analytics storage here, but this is not what we are doing now. That's not the focus of this video now. So let's go out of this, discard the changes, And let's look back here. What I was after actually is, as we said, this will here send cookieless pings. We want to prove that real quickly. We're going to inspect and to the network tab once more. And we will refresh this. There should be one request come through for the GA4 page view event. And that's it. That has come through. And as you can see, it says page view down here and it says denied up here. You can actually also check this setting up here with the Google Consent State with the G100, which actually shows that there are 2 zeros, that analytics and ad storage consent has been not given, meaning there's no consent. If that would be 1 and 1, it would mean there is consent for both. Anyhow, so we just proved that there are cookieless pings that we're sending over, which may be fine or may not be fine, depending on what you want as a business. What we now want actually is that if we select all of them, let's just do that. Let's look into the settings now. What happened here? So as you can see up here, there must have been a consent update. That's the one. That's what I just clicked. And the consent update says granted to all of these, right? And with that granted, it will also change, of course, the consent state here and push it in the data layer, right? And what we will see here now is the following. Actually, what we see here is actually that this element, the cookie consent update, is the element that we need to trigger for our GA4 page view event to actually update the page view to fire, right? To actually fire the page view, because this event here, so if we go back here, the GA4 page view is now at the moment firing at all pages, but that's not what we want, right? We just want it to fire if there has been consent given, right? So we want it to actually fire only then and only then once the consent state has changed to granted, right? So that's what we're going to do. Going to go into the, let me just check something, all good. So let's go into here and let's build a custom trigger. So we will go into here, we will remove that one and we will build a new trigger. So I haven't done it yet. So this will be our cookie consent update trigger. And this will be a custom event and we will name it cookie consent update and save that. X out on it. Stay here. Save this one too. Okay. And as you can see, we changed that now. And if we now, let's deselect all before, like let's delete the cookies once more. Cookie consent. Let's delete it. Gone. Okay. Let's get rid of that. A bit easier to see. Okay. And let's preview that again. Okay. What do we get here? So that's interesting, right? So now you can see already straight away, this one hasn't fired. Ooh, isn't that good, right? That's what we want. So the consent, this cookie bot fired at this stage, then initialization, the config tag fired, but it actually didn't actually send any page views. It didn't send page views and also no cookieless pings, right? And then this one also didn't fire. So if we now check the network request, there should be 0 requests have come through, if that really worked out like I hope it has. So let's look at collect. Let's refresh this page, and there shouldn't be any requests come through. Otherwise, something's wrong. So you can test yourself. See? So it has loaded everything, and no request URL has come through, no collect request, right? So we can say for sure now that this actually worked as intended. This didn't fire. This didn't fire a page view, at least. This fired. I mean, this is just a cookie bot, right? So there's nothing that we have to block. That's what I also talked about in the first video in part 1. But now, as you can see, it looks all fine, right? Now let's just check out if we say all, allow all, and now we would hopefully see the request come through. So as you can see here, the GA4 event page view also updated. the consent update went into the system, so to speak. It granted these ones. It updated the tag or the firing, right? It now fired the page view tag. So as you can see here, this collect request goes to GA, Google Analytics, as you can see here, collect. It collected something, right? And we should have down here, where is it? The page view, right? That's what we want. And then up here we have the G, so the Google consent state, which changed to 111, G111, which tells us that actually it was granted. And there should also be somewhere, but I can't find it again. Maybe we can't see that. It says no API in this case, so that's not something that we really can use, I guess, intuitively. But we can still check here with the G111 state that actually a request came through. It's exactly one request, which is good. We don't want more than one. And actually this fires as intended. So as you can see now, well, what happened here now? So to summarize it, right? We have set up CookieBot, that's okay, right? CookieBot is loading. It's kind of loading the default settings from the consent states, right? And they're all denied. That's what we defined in CookieBot. Second step, we set up the config tag, GA4 config tag, right? We told it to fire as soon as possible, but after the CookieBot, right? So we have set it to initialization all pages, which you can see here as well. So consent initialization is CookieBot, and then, okay, and this, yeah, then it loads consent default. That's okay, right? So this has to load first, right? And then we're setting the initialization. That's fine, right? That's the next quick way to actually fire that before the container loaded has fired, and that's the best practice to set up in this way, okay? And then furthermore, what did we do? So then this fired, and then we said like, okay, this is a little bit a problem, right? Because if somebody does not select anything here, oops, in the banner, now we have it selected. Let's go back to the banner. Okay, if somebody has nothing selected here, then we will just load this event here, the GA4 config tag once at initialization, which is here. But what happens later on if somebody changes the consent settings? So if somebody later on says like he is granting access, then we can't update that anymore because it already loaded, right? So therefore, we actually created this GA4 event page. We have set this one up to not pass any page views, like to false. And then we said like, okay, let's set up a page view event here, which makes sense, right? And fire that only then and only then once a user updated the consent on the cookie consent update. Once this element or variable comes through, we will use that as a firing trigger, and then we will send over the page view. So we can send the data to Google Analytics. And as you saw before, one request came through, and that's 100% correct, because now we are not doubling up any page views. We are actually also very GDPR compliant, because this tag, the config tag, is not even sending cookieless pings, right, as well, because we're blocking them entirely. And this one here works also as intended. The only thing that you could change here still is if you would not want to send any cookieless pings, if no user consent has been given, you could still, go into here and just add a additional trigger, additional consent setting, additional consent, and could say like, okay, I also don't want this to fire any cookieless pings, right? For ads, you could add both, just analytics storage. Doesn't really matter too much, but yeah, to be consistent, I guess, do it like that. And then you save it. And now let's just see if we say there's no consent given. Let's just go back, clear that. Cookie consent clear. Okay. And then let's go out of this again and let's preview this. So what we did now is like, if nobody gives consent, even the GA4 page view event, this one here, should not fire, right? Even this one should not fire, and also not send any cookieless pings. If you want to be like really 100% GDPR compliant, I guess, or very strict on the GDPR rules, then if we go into this request here again, oops, and look at the network request again, there should let me just check. There should be no, yeah, there should be no events being filed for neglect. So let's just refresh that, and there should nothing comes through. Nothing should be coming through. So see, nothing's loading here. So as you can see here again, nothing is actually moving on to Google Analytics, and we are fine as well. So I guess that's best practice implementation. At least I've done it before like that. And yeah, I hope that was helpful. If you liked that video, please consider subscribing to my channel. That helps me a lot. Give me a thumbs up or whatever, share the content. Or if you have a question, maybe something is not quite right here for you, or maybe I messed something up, just tell me. I'm happy to hear it. And yeah, would be happy if you subscribe, and see you again on my channel. Okay. Keep watching, keep learning, and bye-bye.